Maybe not.
Don't have a shirt on.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, and thanks for joining us here at Scarlett Machinery for the 2020 Retool Tour. My name is Tim Keaveney. I'm a Holzer Edgebander product specialist, been in the industry for 35 years. Today I've brought a friend of ours, customer, Tyler Cerny from Strata Design. Tyler, glad to have you join us.
Thanks for having me here.
Tell us a little bit about your company. What is it you folks do up there?
At Strata, we do commercial casework, a lot of healthcare, hospitals, schools, tenant fit-out type work, mostly plastic laminate, melamine panel panel construction.
So traditional panel processing.
Correct,
primarily.
yes.
Okay.
Yep.
How's business been for you lately?
We've been blessed. We're having a record year this year. We have had some very good growth. Before COVID hit, we were in a very good position with our largest backlog we've ever had. And so we have kind of continued that growth trend with this year being the largest year we've ever had.
Great,
Yeah.
great. What kind of challenges have you faced with the COVID?
The challenges are, creating an environment where you can, operate safely, effectively, obviously with your employees. When it first hit and we sent everybody home, really the challenges in trying to run a manufacturing shop that's running mostly semi-custom product with one office staff in place and not having the engineers to ask questions to and the project managers to see their product moving through. We ran into a lot of those challenges during that time until we started to slowly filter some people back under safe conditions.
Yeah, we've had to do a number of different things as a result of the COVID as well, too. When the lockdown first hit, there was a significant slowdown, and many of our competitors actually took furlough time and vacation time. We took an alternate approach. We actually were told to double down, to increase the number of phone calls we make. We all had to make 50 phone calls a week. We were
Sure.
making over 1,000 calls a week as a custom company.
Yeah.
And we were able to pick our business up, and by April, we'd actually had our best month of the year. So we were able actually to pull it out just by focusing heavy on those sales efforts.
That's great.
So it's possible to be successful in this environment. You just have to make a few changes.
Yep.
Now, how long have you had that Holzer Edgebander that you're currently running? It's
I
been
believe two and a half years now, I think, is how
Okay.
long we've had it.
good.
Yeah.
Been running pretty good for you so far?
It has. I think we had minimal issues. I think we have had to replace a motor, but that was under warranty. It was covered. And really that's been it. A couple of our own mistakes on a few, some edge band that we shouldn't have fed in, we did, but we've gotten those adjusted. And part of the reason I purchased the machine is Scarlett's here 2.5 hours south of where we are in Traverse City, Michigan, and having kind of a dedicated edgebander service technician here has really helped us in service calls and also makes it easier for service visits for us.
Well, you've touched on two big highlights in my sales pitch. I mean, one thing I always tell people is the worst enemy of an edgebander is somebody who likes to get under the hoods and fiddle with things and they don't know the outcome of those actions. That's probably what causes the majority of problems that people have with edgebanders are operator-related issues.
Yeah. Yeah, we used to be a shop that did have the hoods open. On the new bander, we're keeping them closed.
So you're able to run hoods down,
Hoods
like
down.
I had told you.
Hoods down, except for this area, which doesn't have a hood. Which
Right,
is actually,
exactly.
Which is nice.
Yeah, you do have to maintain access to this portion of the machine.
Yes.
I've often told people that the machine only makes you money if it's making good parts. It's not going to make you money if you've got an operator turning wrenches or making adjustments to the machine. What we found with edgebanders, and I've been selling edgebanders now for over 30 years. I've sold 5 different brands of edgebanders. And what we found years ago when we started bringing automation onto these machines is that we tremendously increased the uptime on the machine because that biggest enemy of the machine is the operator who gets under there and fiddles with things. Now all of these functions are done through the controller. Not only do we get greater consistency, but we get a lot more reliability out of the machine because the operator's not intervening.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, and we found that has played out. I think when we were in the sales process with you, we were looking at this model, but we were actually a little more focused on the other model.
Yes, we have the next model down in this lineup
Yeah.
is what we call the Sprint 1329.
And so we were looking at that, but we, through some good salesmanship and our decision of knowing that we're going to grow, it's interesting. We were running one shift when you sold us the machine. We've been running 2 shifts now, so it's become a very good 2-shift machine for us that we're running and taking advantage of. Just the size, the capability, and you can't run it as fast as it can go because the person can't keep up with it. But it's been a good machine for that.
Well, you encountered a situation that a lot of my customers encounter, and I think it's probably the biggest mistake somebody makes when they buy an edge banding machine. They don't get enough machine up front. They take a look at what today's needs are, and they're not really taking into account that if you are increasing your business by 15 or 20% per year, within a 3-year time frame, you could very easily be producing double the amount of product.
Yeah.
And I know for us in our product lineup, there's a pretty substantial jump in price to go from our mid-level machine up to the top level Accura.
Sure.
And every sales manual I've ever read that teaches us how to sell tells us that you can't upsell somebody any more than 25 or 30%. They tell you that that's a suicidal move as a salesman.
Sure.
So when I tell somebody that they have to make that jump up, it's really a big leap of faith.
Yeah.
And did that really pan out for you?
Well, as I mentioned, it did, and I think with what we got for the price in this machine, it's perfect for our size company right now. We were nervous. We had 2 banders when we made this transition to this machine. One was an older bander that was a backup as a safety as a blanket, security blanket, and going to one brand new machine has paid off. We don't have to maintain 2 machines now. Have we had moments of downtime? Yes, but there's been responsiveness, and we've been able to manage that. But going that route's been good for us.
Well, one of the big challenges I see people facing when they're operating with 2 edge banders is you wind up with consistency issues from one machine to the next. And if you have parts that wind up on the same job that have come off of 2 different machines, you can definitely tell. One of the nice things I like about the Holzer and the way it is set up and run is that since all of our functions in terms of making changeovers or program changes are all done through the controllers, we have a tremendous amount of consistency from part to part and from operator to operator. Historically, most edgebander operators, they have an interesting mindset. They all claim to know how to run the machine better than everybody else, and I've seen them make adjustments to the machine before they've even seen a part come off of it.
Yep.
How can you maintain consistency and quality in that kind of an environment? The hallmark of quality is consistency, and since the machine is determining the consistency of the product, not the operator, we don't have that problem with having parts from 2 different shifts or 2 different operators that don't match.
Yeah, and that consistency is there, and we've seen that play out, so that's definitely happening.
Great. A big part of our sales pitch with the Holzer is polyurethane glue. Have you had an opportunity to run any of the polyurethane glue yet in your operation?
We have not.
Okay.
And I thought we would be transitioning more towards that and getting requests for more of that. Because we operate in the healthcare world, I thought because of its impervious nature and that it may transition that way, and it may still do that. The good news is we can go right to that, and that's one of the reasons I bought the machine, and I liked it, is I didn't have to, the ability to transition to a PUR setup on this machine is easier than some of the other machines, and our industry may go that route, and if it doesn't, I guess one of the other reasons why is the quality of the glue line has been really good, and so we haven't had a need from our customer base or to go there from just using the standard EVA glue. So.
Well, that is one of the big parts of our sales pitch on the polyurethane adhesive. It does have a thinner viscosity, and it does enable you to thin down that glue line. But if you can get the acceptable quality that you're looking for out of the EVA adhesive, then it's certainly there.
Yep.
One of the biggest advantages we see with that polyurethane glue is its moisture and its heat resistance. We had a customer in Texas who put a bunch of cabinets in a large glass high-rise. He didn't realize they turned the AC off on the weekends, and on the south-facing side of the building, it got so smoking hot that the bands actually fell off his product. And for somebody like yourself, obviously you carry the warranty on that kind of a situation. And it was very expensive. He decided he was never going to have to pay that warranty issue again. He bought a Holzer and a switched to polyurethane glue, and has not had a band failure since. Now, for the viewers out here, in case you're not aware, polyurethane adhesive is really what I like to call the super glue of edge banding adhesives. It bonds to virtually anything. It is impervious to chemical, it is impervious to moisture, and it's impervious to heat. It really is the super glue of edge banding adhesives. The beautiful thing about it too is with that thin viscosity, we're able to meter that glue line down to where it's virtually invisible. And once that banding, or once that glue has set up, it is a permanent bond. Now it goes on much like a normal adhesive. It starts out as a solid, you heat it, you apply it, press the banding on, it cools and reverts back to a solid, much like a normal edge banding adhesive. But after a 24 to 48 hour period, it chemically cross-links by pulling moisture out of the atmosphere to form a permanent bond. So once it's formed that permanent bond, it cannot be reactivated with moisture, with heat, or with chemicals. And it's even a structural bond. So we have customers now who are making these 5-piece melamine cabinet doors, and they're edge banding that entire perimeter. And since we're using the polyurethane glue, we're actually able to produce a stronger product. And the beautiful thing about Holzer is all of the machines come out of the box ready to run polyurethane without any additional equipment required. And all of our competitors require a significant amount of additional equipment and a significant amount of additional steps and cost in order to accomplish them.
Yeah, I agree. I think with some of the other products, you have to even add more PUR glue in order to purge the systems. If you do go with that, even if the system is set up with it, there's could be a higher level of cost of doing switching. I think once you commit to doing it, I think it's a good thing to stick to it.
Well, what I have found is most of our competitors are using a glue pot system. We have a very unique system where we extrude the glue directly onto the edge. And the glue pot has one significant weakness in it. It has a built-in failure point. It has ball bearings in it. And these ball bearings they do not like being in an environment where polyurethane is present. It tends to destroy the bearing seals, and it tends to create an environment where we have much more frequent rebuilding required for the glue pot. And since the glue pots are difficult to clean, their solution is to put that in a pressure tank and draw all of the air out of it so that it cannot come in contact with moisture and cannot cure. But that's an expensive thing to go through. With the Holzer, when you're done running the polyurethane glue, you simply purge it through the system, clean off the face of the glue nozzle, and you're done. It's really a 5-minute process at the end of the day, and it's very easy to do.
Yeah. I'm with you. I think it's a great system.
Now, you've had edge banders with the glue pots as well.
Correct, yeah.
What was your experience with that versus the Holzer glue extrusion system?
Well, we did have a Holzer prior to purchasing this one, so we did have both systems, and we just are a customer that prefers this system. We like we like the nozzle system. We had the pellet system before we had the pucks. And so that the puck system is, I think, a little bit easier and cleaner, and you don't have pellets going all over the place sometimes when you're trying to pour it in there. And and so that we have liked the transition to the puck system, but I think we do like the nozzle, the cartridge, and the simplicity of that. And we have been able to, even with our last Holzer, get in and do some of the maintenance that needs to happen and go along with that, with some of the rods and cleaning that out. And, so it works pretty well if your operator stays on top of the maintenance.
Well, exactly. I mean, that's the key for an edge banding machine. They are very complicated machines. They have a lot of moving parts. In most operations, there's probably more moving parts on your edge bander than there is on all the other machines in the shop combined.
Yeah.
So it is a very complicated machine, and it is necessary that you do the proper maintenance. Yep. And having a partner like Scarlett here in the local area who has a technician does have to make that a lot easier, for sure.
Absolutely. For sure. Well, I think I'm going to sign off.
Well, thanks a bunch. I appreciate you joining us, Tyler.
Yep, you're welcome.
You have a great day. Enjoy your trip back up north.
Thank you.
I'd like to take a few moments to talk a bit more about the glue station on the Holzer. This is really the defining characteristic that makes Holzer different from all other brands of edgebander manufacturers, is how we manage the process of applying the adhesive. All of our competitors use a glue roller system, which is a much older, out-of-date system for applying the adhesive. The biggest advantages with Holzer: heat up time and energy consumption. This machine will warm up and be ready to operate within 2 to 3 minutes from stone cold. Our competitors' machines require at least 15 minutes of heat up time in order to get that glue pot up to an operating temperature. That consumes a tremendous amount of electricity as well. With the Holzer system, since we are heating the adhesive on demand, we use far less energy. Hot melt adhesive, or EVA, ethyl vinyl acetate adhesive, is not really designed to be cooked in a glue pot. It's designed to be heated to a liquid consistency, applied, pressed into place, and allowed to cool, much like you use an assembly glue gun in an assembly operation. The longer you cook glue in a glue pot, the less effective it is. It's not unusual for our competitors' machines, when they are operating in an environment where they have a stop-start situation, they don't always have parts available, they'll drop the temperature in the glue applicator down to 150 degrees just to keep it liquid and keep it at an idle point. When you do that, you are breaking down the chemicals that are in the EVA adhesive itself. EVA adhesive is designed to be heated, applied, and done. It's not designed to be cooked in the glue pot. Other advantage to the Holzer system: we actually have a tracing shoe that rides on the top of the panel that gauges our glue spread all the way up to the top, but absolutely not further. We have precision timing to make sure that we get the glue onto the leading edge and onto the trailing edge perfectly every time. The way the Holzer system is designed, it is much more compact. The distance between our glue application point and the center point of our first pressure roller is much smaller. This enables us to use a fillerless adhesive. The fillerless adhesives are either clear or opaque like this, and what it allows you to do is have a much thinner appearing glue line. Glue pot edge banders tend to require a little bit more filler in their adhesives in order to function. What that filler does is it modifies the density of the glue. A denser adhesive will maintain that liquid state longer than a lighter adhesive will. So if you add that density to it, that glue will stay open long enough for it to get into the pressure zone and get pressed into place. Since that distance on the Holzer is much shorter, we can get away without the fillers. Therefore, we have a glue that will meter down to a much finer glue line, and we also have much better control over the quality appearance. With this clear adhesive, it tends to be self-camouflaging. As you look down at that glue line, since it's clear, it tends to reflect the color off the back of the banding, so it tends to be a bit more self-camouflaging. Some colors are still a little bit trickier than others. In some applications, when we're putting a gloss black on a gloss black panel or a white on white, and it absolutely has to be perfect, we'll use colored adhesives. This is a natural color. There are other colors available. There's white, there's walnut, there are black. With the Holzer system, we can accomplish that color change in about 5 minutes. With a glue pot machine, the only solution really is to have a second glue pot and have that heated and available and ready to swap out on the machine, so you can do a glue color change in less than a half an hour. With this, we can do a color change within 5 minutes or less. A few other notable features of the glue station: we have a glue hopper, so we can put a number of different cartridges into the machine. So when one cartridge is expended, there will be a block that drops down on the front of the machine to prevent the operator from feeding the next panel. This air cylinder ram will drop back, the new cartridge will fall in place, and the ram will come forward. Safety block comes up, next parts are fed. In many cases, the operator doesn't even know that the machine has accomplished a cartridge change. Number of other features I'd like to point out on the machine are the controller. This is Coven, one of our technicians based out of Central Florida. Come up here to the Great Lake North to help us out today for a bit of a bander demo. What I like about the controller on the Holzer, first of all, the large flat straights are very visible, very easy to use, and it's icon driven. everything on the screen, every function on the screen, you can see what it does without any verbal input, which is absolutely critical for our companies, our customers that are located in areas where operators speak other languages. In Chicago, for example, I have a lot of customers who speak Polish, they speak Russian, Ukrainian.
Right.
And in those environments, having an icon-driven controller is great because we can train these people regardless of what language they use.
Exactly. They don't have to read it.
What are some of your favorite features in the controller?
Probably my favorites are the ease to change the programs. These will store up to 256 separate individual programs, each customizable. I can change over programs, don't have to go under the hood, don't have to make any adjustments. It's all taken care of in the programs.
And 256 programs is a lot for a bander,
That's
isn't
a lot. Most customers I've seen are usually somewhere in the 10 to 15 area.
it? Okay.
Couple customers are up into the 20s, but they've got some real specialized things. Most customers are 10 to 15 programs.
So there's plenty of built-in capacity there.
way more than any.
One of my favorite features in the controller is the ability to set different permissions for different operators.
Okay.
So if you're the primary operator, you can make changes to a program and save it.
Yes.
But if I'm the guy who normally tails this machine and I got to run it on Tuesday because you're not here, my login is only going to allow me to turn the machine on, operate it, and turn it off.
Yes.
If I want to make a change to that program, I've got to have somebody with your permission level to do it.
Yes, it's very customizable.
Now,
Very customizable.
as a technician, does that save you work and time?
Generally it does. Things aren't changed inadvertently or saved over top of other programs, so yes, it does save us a lot of hassle.
Well, and as I had mentioned, the biggest enemy of an edgebander are operators who like to pull levers and push buttons and pull knobs, and they don't know what the outcome of those actions
Exactly.
are. And the more you can prevent that, the better your results are going to
Yes, more consistent. Definitely more consistent.
be. So now we also have remote diagnostic capability on this as well.
Yes, we do.
Can you tell us a little bit how that works?
We can actually, for lack of better terms, remote into the machine. We do require a laptop or another desktop computer in between our remote computer and the machine. But virtually, yes, it's a TeamViewer product through the internet, and it's just as if we were standing in front of the machine itself.
So you can basically run the machine remotely through that diagnostic capability. You just can't put the parts in, you can't pull out an e-stop, you can't physically touch it.
I can't push buttons, but I can make changes, check parameters, change parameters. Yes, do everything as if I was here except for physical buttons.
Fantastic. That's
Yeah,
got to
it's-
help out tremendously.
Saves a lot on travel costs.
Well, yeah, I bet. I bet you do a fair amount of that in your line of work for
yes.
sure.
Travel almost every week, so yeah, if I can save a trip through an airport, I'm all good for that.
Oh, I'm all in favor of that for sure. What are some of the key maintenance things that people should do on this machine on a regular basis?
The maintenance aspect of the machine is actually really simple and basic. We have some daily lubrication for the glue rod, the dosing rod on the glue nozzle. We have some weekly lubrication for some of the linear bearings that are underneath the hood. Daily clean out, cleaning off the front of the face of the nozzle. We have some monthly greasing that happens. Week to week, everything happens within 10 to 15 minutes for the entire maintenance program for that week. Very easy, very basic. Most operators are willing and able to take care of it, so they take that ownership of the machine.
Now, when you do the install, you usually go through the full training process on all of the maintenance and everything, correct?
Absolutely. Training on a machine like this is at least going to be a day. You're going to operate it, learn how to save and create new programs, go through the whole maintenance procedure, including lubrication, cleaning, tool changes on the machine. Yeah, it's a full training program.
Fantastic.
We want at least I want the operator to know as much, if not more, than I do. That way they can take care of the machine and keep it running.
Well, absolutely. Knowledge is the key, that's
Absolutely.
for sure.
Yes.
Any other features in the controller that you...
There's so many features, and I know we don't have that much time to go over all of them. I said, I can show you, we have the listing of different programs, all menu driven. Each different unit along the machine has its own set of parameters that we can set, savable within those programs. We It's really a feature-packed full controller.
Now, one of the things I notice here, it shows a little indicator of a plus or a minus here. Now, what is
Yes.
that showing us here?
Well, what I had selected was the glue station. These are our countdown points where we, as you mentioned earlier, we control the start and stop of the glue line. We can actually adjust that start and stop of the glue line generally based upon product. I've had a few customers that have an angled shelf where it's for a corner shelf. So they need to start and stop that glue early because the panel actually isn't as long as the machine thinks it is.
Okay, so you basically write a special program for them when
For
they run
that corner
part.
shelf, we would shrink that glue line the appropriate dimension
Okay.
so that we are starting on that shorter angled shelf side versus having glue spill all over and wasting.
And when you set up a special program like that, it probably takes a few tries to get it right, a little bit of back
Absolutely.
and forth.
Any new little program, you're going to want to have a few sample panels, but once you find that magic number and that magic setup, you save it within the program system, label it whatever you like to label it, whatever's going to work for the operator to identify that program, and it's there.
So even I could call up the program that you wrote and
Sure.
run it and get a quality part.
Sure.
Even I? Really? Wow.
Well,
that's good.
you know,
Well,
you're
we won't go
sales,
I'm in sales, I know. We won't go that far.
Yes. So yeah, I mean, there's just so many different features and adjustability from right here at the controller versus having to open the hood up, turn a bunch of knobs. So.
Well, as I'd mentioned earlier too, the machine only makes our customers money when it's running quality parts. It does not make money when somebody's turning knobs or twisting levers.
Full information is always displayed. We can always tell what our heater temperature is for our glue, where our beam's set. We actually have a quantity of glue indicator based upon the beam height. It will tell us an approximate meter, how many meters of panel we can process at that beam height.
So in other words, you know how much of this I have left.
Yes.
So
Before a cartridge change.
before the cartridge is expended.
yes.
So if you're running an adhesive like a polyurethane,
Yes.
and you know, okay, I've got about this much left, you know about how much you can run before it's time to
The machine
switch
will
over.
actually give you a meter, how many meters of panel that I can run at that beam height. So yeah, you can, do I want to open a new cartridge of the polyurethane versus that can wait till tomorrow, I've only got 10 meters left. So,
And what he's referring to, the polyurethane adhesive, since it is a moisture cure product and it does react with the moisture in the atmosphere, it comes in a sealed container. This particular brand from Henkel actually comes in a sealed bag. Some of them come in a sealed can.
Some of them are canned, right.
Does have a bit of a shelf life to it. It lasts about a year or so, I understand.
year after manufacture, yes.
So you want to make sure that you have plenty of fresh PUR
Follow
on the shelf.
manufacturer recommendations.
Absolutely.
I'll
Always
opt out on
follow
that
the
one.
manufacturer recommendations for sure.
Absolutely.
And do you have a lot of customers you see that are running this now?
It's getting bigger and bigger, especially I'm down in Central Florida. If I go down to South Florida, Miami area, definitely seeing more PUR showing up just because of the heat and humidity
I was going to say, it's a
aspect.
high humidity environment.
Yes. That's usually the biggest market driver. Outdoor kitchens, things of that nature that are going to be outdoor. Some customers are, as you said, well, you said office building, but I have some that are shipping into containers and going over to the Bahamas and South America. Those shipping containers themselves can just get, 150, 160 degrees, so they're switching to the PUR.
Exactly,
Polyurethane.
because that way the product that's been shipped somewhere else on the planet, you
It's
have
gonna-
a good peace of mind of knowing that the bands aren't going to fall off because it's sitting in a hot container.
Correct. Yeah. So it's a permanent adhesive. So
And you are definitely seeing more and more people go.
There's
I am as well.
more.
And it isn't just because of the moisture resistance, it's because of the quality appearance of the glue line.
it's quality, appearance, thinness of the glue line. More and more people, I don't want to see a glue line. It's understandable. I want to see panel to edge banding. That's it. So
And in many cases, this using the polyurethane glue actually enables us to duplicate what is now called a zero glue line edge.
yeah, it's definitely headed towards that zero, if not zero.
Exactly. Great. Well, thanks a bunch. Appreciate it.
Not a problem.
I'd like to take a moment and talk a little bit about the tooling on the machine. This machine is tooled from a company in Germany named Loico. The name Loico is a bit of an acronym. It actually stands for Lederman and Company. Lederman was a man. Mr. Lederman developed some of the first panel processing tools. He was the first man to actually put carbide on a woodworking tool. And his company today is still a world leader in diamond tooling production. It really is a key part of the quality that we get off of the Holzer machine is due to the quality of the diamond tooling that we're running. The pre-milling cutter head, which I have in my hand here, this is designed to remove a small amount of material on the edge of the panel prior to edge band application, which gives you the finest glue line possible by producing a nice razor sharp edge on the panel. These diamond tools, what's cool about the technology, they're able to make them in a very small diameter now, so we can make the station on the machine much smaller, which brings the cost of the operation of the machine itself much lower. But the quality is also much better because we have a tool that is built to be perfectly cylindrical, and it cuts a perfectly straight edge on the panel. We also have top and bottom trimming cutters on the machine from Loico. These are a diamond design. This particular tool, if you can see it a little bit closer, has a 3mm radius on it. And what I typically tell my customers when I'm describing to them how that works is I'll hold my fingers out this to simulate the radius. And when we're running a 3mm edge band, we will run that entire 3mm radius portion of the tool. When we're running a thinner edge, we'll back that away and work just off a portion of the tool. So when we're running our thin PVC, we work right here, so it creates a slight ease to the edge. And if we're running a solid wood band, we'll work on the very tip of the tool out here where it's flat. So we have the ability to accomplish a very simple form of automation on the machine just by repositioning the tools. We have a higher level of automation capability that's provided to us by Loico on these stations, in that we can have multi-tool capability where you have numerous radii that are built into the same tool. And with that system, by simply making an adjustment to the station, either up or down or in and out, we can engage a different portion of the tool. We can run either a 1, a 2, a 3 mil radius, or a chamfer detail all off of the same tool, all from the controller in the front of the machine without having to open up a hood. We even have that capability that we offer on our corner radiusing station. The corner radiusing station is designed to round over the leading and trailing edge on the corners of the panels. This can also be equipped with a tool changer, so we can accomplish either a 1, a 2, a 3 mil edge or radius detail, or a chamfer, all from the same station without opening up the hoods to make a change. A couple of other items that we have here. This is the Ripa Fluid. There are 3 different types of fluid that are typically used on an edge bander. There's one that's used on the front. You apply that to the top and bottom edge of the panel, and what that is designed to do is prevent the adhesive from sticking to the melamine surface on the panel. These are typically used on man-made surfaces like melamine or laminate, not typically used on veneer. We have a second type of sprayer which is located in our end trimming area, which is designed to lubricate the edge banding, and is designed primarily to be used with high gloss banding which has a peel coat, and that prevents the static buildup, and it also lubricates the edge to prevent any marking. The third solvent applicator is at the tail of the machine just before the buffing station. And what that does is that enables the buffers to work more effectively. What I'd like to do is kind of do a quick walkthrough on the machine as far as our processes from front to back, and highlight some of the automation that we have. The first station that will address the panel here is pre-milling. And the pre-milling station is designed to remove a small amount of material from the panel prior to glue and edge application, just to make sure that we have a perfectly clean edge to apply the banding to. That works in conjunction with an in-feed fence, which is adjusted by servo axis, to regulate how much stock is removed from the edge of that panel. Once we've cleaned up the edge of the panel with the pre-milling station, we then apply the adhesive and bring the edge banding to meet up with the panel. After the edge banding has passed through the blue area, it's clipped to length roughly, pressed into position by the pressure zone, which is also adjusted by servo axis. Once the edge has been applied, it's typically applied slightly oversized to the panel, so there is a little bit of a tag on the leading and on the trailing edge. Our end trimming station will then trim that flush to the panel. We have a bit of automation in here in that we can either cut a straight cut for our first and second pass, or we can bevel those at an angle and do a chamfer on the leading and trailing edge. All automatic, all through the controller. Our next station is our top and bottom trimming station. This station is equipped with a total of 6 servo axes, and that will position the tools and the copy wheels to engage different portions of the tool to accomplish the different tasks we want to achieve. We're either changing it to accomplish a different radius detail or work off of a different portion of the tool to create a different look or a different effect. Once that has been trimmed top and bottom, we then trim or radius the corners. One thing that is unique about the Holzer, this corner radiusing station actually can serve as a second top and bottom trimmer. So what some of our customers will do is they'll use the first trimming station to get really, really close to the board, and they'll use the second station to finish up that cut and complete all of the corners. And the beautiful thing about that is it's very easy to match the radius detail from top and bottom as well as the corners because you're using the same tools to accomplish that detail. After corner radiusing, we scrape. Whenever you run a thicker PVC material, you are going to generate a certain number of knife marks into the PVC. So the final portion of the finish on that is to remove a couple tenths of a millimeter or about 8/1000ths of an inch of that PVC. And that is enough to remove those milling marks. And incidentally, that is one of the cool things about the Loico tools and the way they're held. And the ProLock system holds these tools so accurately that there is virtually zero radial runout. So we get such a tight sequence of knife marks on that edge, we can get away with such a minimal scrape and produce the quality that we're looking for. Sometimes people complain about darker color PVCs whitening when you scrape them. What causes the whitening is an excessive scrape. Since we have better control over our cut accuracy and we have better control over our scrape accuracy, we don't have issues with that whitening on the Holzer. Following the scraping, we have a second scraping station, which is a top and bottom scraper knife. I like to call that an insurance policy. We do and we can set all of the trimming cutters to make sure that everything is perfectly flush. But as we know, in this world, nothing is perfect and sometimes things happen. Occasionally a chip may get on the panel or some kind of debris on a copy wheel, which may cause a slight high spot in the banding. This second scraping station enables us to get right down to the edge of the panel and remove any of that material that may be hanging proud. Second to last station on the machine is another solvent applicator. That solvent is designed to make the buffing station work more effectively. With Holzer, we have a very unique feature with buffing as well. We have the ability to jump buff, meaning we can jump in on the leading edge of the panel and jump out on the trailing edge. This enables us to buff much more aggressively without causing a round-over effect on the leading and trailing edge. I'd like to go ahead and get the machine started up here. Okay. Do you have it heated up yet, or are you? We are ready. All right. Well, why don't we run a board?
Shut the hood.
Oh, okay. We can
Wait.
do that.
On the wait. Well,
Glad we
she
have-
won't start with the lid. so-
Glad we have safety conscious.
Absolutely.
And what are we running today?
We're going to be running size 3 and 4 on the panel,
Okay.
using the corner rounding, so the guests can see the corner rounder and how that reacts. 3mm tape on a white panel with DVA.
Fantastic. Let's see how she works. You can see the panel's now crashing 3 milling. It's been trimmed. We're now applying the edge band and clip to length. The board is now entering the end trimmer, top and bottom trimming, and then the corner rounding. Looks like another perfect Holzer edge. I'd like to point out one more feature. We can't really see it from this side of the machine, but I noticed when you were feeding the panel there was a green light there.
Yes.
Can you tell me a bit about what those lights do?
The green light is actually part of our signaling system for the operator. Lets them know visually that they're okay to feed a panel, that the machine is ready to accept the next panel. So yeah, it's kind of nice little visual green as go.
Well, it's also kind of a nice visual if you're the owner of the company, because you can tell across the shop if the band is running or not.
Yeah,
that's one of the sales features I point out about that. But then again, I tend to talk to the owners, not the operators.
There you go.
So we may have a little bit different
A
vantage.
little different vantage point. That's all right.
Absolutely. Fantastic.
All right. Anything else I can?
I think that about covers it, folks. Thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of the Retool Tour.